Hola my friends, welcome back to A Life I Choose, the place to be to design your life so you can thrive. Today is not a vlog. Today is Sunday, but it's not a weekend vlog. You guys often ask the most interesting questions. You'll in the comments section, you'll ask me something. Lately I've been thinking that instead of answering there and then, it would be nice if I just collect your questions and then make a video. So that's what I'm doing today. I have two questions, super interesting. Very grateful for your questions and I'm gonna answer them right here. Obviously, I know who asked me this question, but I'm gonna keep it anonymous. I found them quite intimate questions. So we'll start from the first one. The first one is how to forgive and forget. I like this question a lot. It's something that I think about a lot. Forgiveness is something I think about a lot because I think of forgiveness as being compassion. Compassion is easy to do, obviously, with someone you get along with someone, who their reasoning makes sense to you, they haven't hurt you. But when you feel you've been wronged by this person, compassion is much more difficult. It's interesting because compassion is to feel with. And I remember once Pete and I got into an argument and I was really frustrated and annoyed. I took a time out. I was like, I need space. Please give me space. I need to just go and I need to get away from you, basically. I went to our bedroom and I brought out my journal and I just started journaling, and I was just writing about how angry I was and how frustrated I was and everything. And I was in a very self-righteous space, when we're hurt, our walls go up. We get very ego-driven, and our egos are our defenses. So our walls go up and we're just self-righteous and feeling that we're right and they're wrong and blah, blah, blah. And I could see myself doing this and I was saying that I'm really not being compassionate. I'm not being compassionate, and I want to be compassionate with him. But the more that I tried to force myself to be compassionate with him, the less real it felt. And I realized that there was no way that I was going to be able to be compassionate with him unless I was compassionate with myself first. I needed to be compassionate with the hurt because I was so in my ego space of defense and self-righteousness that I wasn't even allowing myself to really tune in with the fact that I was hurting and that I was annoyed with myself that I was hurting and that I was annoyed with myself that I wasn't compassionate and that I was annoyed with myself for the way that I was responding. So I was not just annoyed with Pete, but I was pissed off at me. Unless I was going to be able to step into a softer space, a gentler space, and that starts with me, there was no way that I was going to be able to do it with him. So with my journal, then I switched and I said, okay, if I chose to be compassionate with myself right now, I would acknowledge that. And I wrote down, I can't remember what I wrote, it was a long time ago, but I wrote something I'd acknowledge that when he did this, I felt abandoned, for example, and that made me feel blah, 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 da, 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 da. And I brought compassion to myself. I was of course I feel this way, anyone would. And, I brought the belonging back to myself. I brought the love back to myself, acknowledging that it's okay to feel this way. And as I did that, something shifted within me, something shifted within my body. I felt less in fight or flight. I felt like I had soothed I had soothed myself, and I felt like I was in a good space with myself. Then I felt I could step into compassion for him. So then I wrote down, if I chose to be compassionate with Pete right now, I would acknowledge that, ... And I remember I wrote down something he's been really stressed with work. He's been giving his all at work. He's been trying to juggle everything. This isn't always easy to do. He's coming from a space of fear. He's responding from a space of fear. I know that all he wants to do is connect with me. You know what I mean? And then I was able, because I had brought that safety to myself, then I was able to step into that compassionate space with him. Then another step came to me and I felt like I needed to bring compassion to the relationship itself, because there's me and there's Pete. And then there's the relationship that we share. And so I brought compassion to the relationship and I said, okay, if I chose to be compassionate with our relationship right now, I would acknowledge that we have been experiencing blah, blah, blah. And it hasn't been the easiest. And this has put a strain on us. And I know that we both want to reach out. For example, we both want to be together. And, the fact that it has been difficult or whatever has been challenging and whatever. And that extra step just sort of brought this sense of I could open up again. I could let down my walls, and I could be with him again. So to me, there are 3 steps. Ever since that day, like, I really see that there are 3 steps to compassion, to having compassion with someone. It's first, there has to be compassion for yourself. You can't do compassion in a real way for someone else if you are not bringing compassion to yourself first. Then you bring compassion to the other person, and then you bring compassion to the relationship you share. And you can apply this with your sister, with your mother, with your father, with your brother, with your friend, with your colleague, with your boss, with your employee. You could apply it to anybody. Now, something that I want to say is that compassion is a beautiful, beautiful practice, and it is a practice. It's not something like you are compassionate or you are not. Compassion is a practice, and the more that you practice it, the more natural it becomes, and the quicker you can step into a space of compassion. What's important is that we don't mistake compassion with allowing. Just because you can have compassion for someone and you can see why they're doing what they're doing, and you can see that they are, for example, responding from a space of fear. You can see that they are unhappy and that's why they're lashing out at you. You can see that, they don't know how to manage their emotions. They don't know how to soothe themselves, and that's why they are responding from the space. That doesn't mean that you need to continue exposing yourself to this kind of treatment. In fact, it's very, very important that you honor yourself and you take care of yourself and you don't keep exposing yourself to this kind of treatment. Now, with some people, you can acknowledge the behavior and you can speak to them about it, and you can say, listen, when you did this wasn't okay for me, and that person will own responsibility. And it's only with the owning of responsibility that you can, you can build on the relationship, because relationships grow with trust. For there to be trust, there needs to be owning of responsibility, there needs to be honesty, and there needs to be the communication of it. Now, if the other person stays in their ego state, stays completely defensive, or if we do that to our partners and we do not own responsibility for the fact that we've hurt them, even if our intention was never to hurt them, we need to acknowledge that we've hurt them, and we need to try to understand the other person, because we're all so different. So we need to be willing to say, okay, I know I didn't mean to hurt them, but I hurt them. And I want to understand what it was that I did. I need to understand how I hurt you so that I don't continue to do it. But if we just stay in a state of, I did nothing wrong, I was right to do what I did, the self-righteousness, that just corrodes trust completely, and the relationship cannot grow. While it's really important to bring compassion to your relationships, and I love that you asked this question, because it shows that you are a person who values compassion and who values your relationships. You can have compassion for someone, but it doesn't mean that you allow what they are doing over and over again. And if this person does not respect you, does not own responsibility, and is not willing to learn and is not willing to adjust, then you need to have very clear boundaries with this person. Either you limit the amount that you allow them into your life, or you only speak to them about certain topics that are very light, or you might even have to just cut ties completely. This is your choice. This is something that you will have to work through. It's not an easy decision, especially the closer that the person is to you. But when a person will not own responsibility and will not adjust, then you have a responsibility to yourself for your own health, because it can become very toxic very quickly, and that toxicity goes somewhere, and typically we carry it, and then either that will affect the way you treat the people around you, or it will make you unwell, or both. Compassion is important, but it's not the same as allowance. Okay, so the second question was, what if you're not in love anymore? I find this question really interesting, and to be honest, it's something that I've been thinking about the past few days. It keeps popping up in my head, like, what if you're not in love anymore? What if you're not in love anymore? And to be honest, if we were in the same room, I would ask you questions, and I would ask you, like, tell me more. What's your experience been? When do you feel you fell out of love? Because sometimes we think we're not in love anymore. It's not that we're not in love anymore. We do love, but sometimes we're so hurt that we've got our defenses up. We're in our ego state. When we are hurting a lot, we have to detach because it becomes too painful to stay. But this doesn't mean a lack of love. It could mean immense love, and because I love you so much, it is so painful to stay. So I'm not sure if you don't love anymore. I don't know, because we haven't had the conversation. It could be that you are just massively hurt, in which case something that could be helpful for you is to identify what is it that your partner is doing that is so painful for you. What do they do or not do repetitively that is so painful for you? You know, is it not tuning into what you need? Is it a form of betrayal? Like, what is it that they do? And then you need to communicate this to them and let them know that this behavior is causing you to need to withdraw, to need to move away from them because you don't feel safe, because it's something that is not okay for you, and they do it over and over and over again. And then you move from the space of, you know, do they respond to you? Can they own responsibility for the fact that they are hurting you? Are they willing to tune in with you? Are they willing to work on this with you? You know, if they are, then you can build upon that. Like, we hurt each other in relationships. It's normal. It's unavoidable, unfortunately. But if you are both willing to work as a team to understand each other, then you can totally grow. But we need to be willing to work as a team. Something that's important as you communicate what you're not okay with in the relationship, it's important that you also communicate what you do value about the relationship, because then for our partners, when we give them criticism, it can be very difficult to take in, especially if we say things like, you always do this, or you never do this, or you're such a fuck up, or you're such a loser, or whatever. When we criticize, we cannot take that information in because it's too hurtful. So our walls go up, our defenses go up. So we will just bounce that off. We'll just be defensive. So it's really important that we honor the good that is in our relationship while we also notice what needs work and what needs love and attention. And this is how we will grow. We need to celebrate what's already there. And this creates safety between us. Now, it could be that you are just not in love anymore. It could be that you've discovered that this person isn't for you, that you cannot make this relationship grow, that you do not share values, or you do not share a common vision for the future. In which case, my question for you is, maybe it's time to ask yourself why you're still there. What's the fear that's holding you there? You know, because if you know it's time to go, then maybe you're just staying out of fear. And it is hard to leave a relationship that you know isn't working for you. It is an extremely courageous move to leave, because when you're in a relationship with someone, you share everything. You share friendships, you share money, you share living space, you share everything. And to detach that is a very painful process. It's a slow process. It takes patience, it takes perseverance. And what I really suggest for you is that you seek support. Do therapy, journal. Make sure your relationship with yourself is good, it's solid. Make sure you're not abandoning yourself, because leaving a relationship is a very difficult thing to do. Make sure that you're also in touch with your friends and you're in touch with your family. So long as your family and friends are a source of support for you, just always seek out like supportive, nourishing relationships. Support yourself to make this move. So I think that's everything I wanted to say. If you liked this version of a video, guys, please give it a like so that I know that you want more like this. And if you want to be even clearer, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know what you liked about it and what you'd like to see more of. And please leave your questions down below, because I love being in dialogue with you and I find your questions so insightful, and you ask such good quality questions that I like to reflect on them as well, and I like to share my answers with you. So please do leave more. So yeah, give us a like if you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. You can hit the little bell notification to be notified every time we upload a new video. I'm saying we because Nicola is my video editor. We upload new videos every Monday, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Sending you peace and love and growth and compassion and boundaries. Bye. Peace.